Hey, it's me, Taoku. Just a reminder, I can parry anything, including bad opinions about my kit. Apologize now, or I'll tell Don Jin you're in exile and send her your exact coordinates. Taoqi has a very unique kit and theoretically should be one of the better characters in the game. In today's video, I'll be discussing her kit, a little about some of her playstyles, and tackling the topic about whether or not she needs a buff or a rework. As more and more characters get added that buff skill damage, she falls even further behind. And with Brandt's addition to the roster, she doesn't even shield that well anymore. Taoqi might be just as poor in performance as Yuan Wu. Also, this is not a guide on how to play Taoqi, but a discussion about her and her kit. With all that out of the way, let's get into Taoqi's kit before we start discussing what's wrong or right with it. She, like every character, has a basic, heavy attack, mid-air attack, and a dodge counter. Taoqi's basic attack chain is a massive part of her kit, as completing her basic attack chain can allow her to earn Resolving Caliber. However, we'll expand on why her basic attack chain is so important to her and not something to be ignored later on. She can press and hold her basic attack to enter into rock steady defense. This allows her to cast Strategic Parry after 3 seconds or if an enemy attack hits her. This works for every attack in the game, including ranged attacks. However, her Strategic Parry does not act like a parry. It does nothing to the enemy stagger bars, nor does it interrupt boss attacks. After Strategic Parry is cast, you can press basic attack up to 3 times to perform timed counters. More on those under her forte section. Up next, we have her resonant skill. Her skill gives her 3 shields, does damage that scales off of defense, and does healing to herself that scales off of defense. If you time her skill properly, then you will cast it as Strategic Parry and can perform her timed counters. I'm not sure if it's a bug, but sometimes it doesn't seem to damage enemy stagger bars if you hit it on a normal parryable attack. Each time a shield is consumed, she will gain 1 Resolving Caliber. More on those in her forte section. If she does her basic attack chain all the way through, then she turns them all into Resolving Caliber. If the shield runs out of time, the remaining shields will be turned into Resolving Caliber. These shields reduce damage by 15%. However, to get any use of them, you have to actually be hit. Luckily, she has a node in her skill tree that increases her defense while the shield is active, but it doesn't help the other members of her roster as they still want to dodge. This also means that when combined with Rock City Defense, she gets 50% total damage reduction. And now onto her ultimate. Her ultimate does a 360-degree slash around her. This ability scales off of defense as well. Up next, we have her intro skill, which causes damage upon entrance and allows her to instant cast her timed counters. And then of course her outro skill, which buffs resonant skill damage for 14 seconds by 38%. And now onto the main course, her forte. Her forte can hold up to 3 Resolving Caliber. Resolving Caliber is consumed when casting timed counters. Timed counters are considered basic attack damage and also scale off of defense. As the game doesn't tell you basic attack is good for her, I'll go ahead and tell you that basic attack percent on your Taoqi echoes are still very useful. Her timed counters will give her shield and also deal damage that scales off of defense. Resolving Caliber can be obtained in various ways, either by getting hit with her shield active, performing her basic attack combo with her shield active, waiting for her shield timer to run out, or with her intro skill. However, one of her sequence nodes makes the waiting one not really viable, as a shield will last for 30 seconds. Additionally, 4 of her sequence nodes are for her forte circuit, so it's clear that we are supposed to constantly engage with Rock City Defense and use her shield as a parry as well. The way she's intended to be played is to be on field and to constantly time her parries to use her forte. She isn't really a support, she's more of a sub DPS. You can run her with Moonlit Clouds, Havoc Eclipse, Rejuvenating Glow, Midnight Veil, or Tidebreaking Courage if you're feeling a little bit schizo. Due to the insane synergy she has with Havoc Eclipse, this is one that I would recommend you use. I'd also recommend Havoc Rover for his Havoc Shredding abilities. Since her outro skill buffs resonant skill damage, her best teams are of course Carlotta and Jinxi, though she can be used with Camellia and Havoc Rover as they can both use their skill twice in quick succession. But she is obviously not their best support. Taoqi's best substats are defense percent, ER, crit rate, crit damage, and basic attack damage. Let's get into some of her negatives now. Taoqi's main problem, as people say, is her Concerto gain. However, in my experience, this comes up rather quickly. To me, the problem in her kit is that her strategic parry isn't a parry. It does nothing to enemy staggers, nor does it stop enemy combos, meaning it's possible to miss her time counters or get hit out of it. She has a very unique requirement which makes her undesirable to build. Unlike Donjin, Camellia, and Rover, who can all share echoes rather similarly, Taoqi requires defense percent. It's just objectively better to build attack percent echoes, since they have value across 3 characters and can be shared. Taoqi requires a set specifically for her. Even if you are using her for Moonlit Clouds, you want a unique set for her due to scaling off of defense, but if you're using her for her outro skill, then slapping on a shareable ER piece or 2 is all you really need there. However, this does bring up another issue. Taoqi is often spouted as doing very little damage. Due to the echo economy in the game, you are not incentivized to build a unique and custom set for each character. I'm not saying the echo economy is bad, I play Borderlands 2. Horrific grinding for gear is just normal to me. However, it definitely does leave other characters further behind, especially with the addition of new echo sets. The game very clearly wants you to share echo sets across multiple characters, and to a degree even 5-star weapons, which severely diminishes Taoqi's damage potential from an echo point of view, but she is helped out a little bit by the sharing of 5-star weapons. Taoqi can take a decent amount of time doing her basic attack combo and will often be interrupted during it, making it difficult to build up her resolve and caliber at times. Players who have put more than a few hours into the game will find her shield relatively useless, but find the perfect parry system somewhat more appealing in concept but not in action. With the addition of Brant to buff skill damage, Taoqi falls even further behind. Brant is a 5-star, so being overshadowed is completely fine. At the end of the day, Taoqi is a 4-star character. However, Brant does damage, he heals, provides shields, has a tailored weapon with built-in crit rate, massive ER, and a tailored echoed set for him. Not to mention, he doesn't have part of his kit requiring him to take damage and be hit by enemy attacks. Anyone who pulls Brant will find Taoqi completely and utterly useless. Enough doom posting about Taoqi, let's get into some positives for her. Midnight Veil is a decent set for her to use if you want to use her to buff your Rover, Donjin, or Camellia even further. Remember, Donjin does do a lot of skill damage, so increasing her havoc damage even more alongside this is good investment. The increase in her havoc damage by 10% lets her stay somewhat competitive with her damage numbers as well. This, however, only works if you are running Donjin, Camellia, or Havoc Rover as a main DPS. If Taoqi healed the team, then Havoc Rover's best team might actually be Rover, Taoqi, and Donjin. I lied. It'll still be with Shorekeeper. That crit rate and crit damage increase is just way too good to pass up. Her synergy with Donjin is fairly strong as both of them buff each other, but also Taoqi's 15% damage reduction lets Donjin make mistakes. Not that Donjin mains ever make any mistakes. Taoqi is a way for you to learn how to play Donjin and get everything that you need to know down pat, but once you learn every boss, Taoqi isn't really needed. Someone like Mortify might be better due to his coordinated attacks, Empyrean Anthem buff for, and also heavy attack damage increase with Donjin does do a lot of. Taoqi also has synergy with Sanhua due to the basic attack increases, and with most of her kit being considered basic attack, it's not a bad choice if you want to run Taoqi as a main DPS for whatever reason. She definitely has uses, but they're fairly niche, and in each instance there is someone who's just a better pick, even among 4-stars. Even in free-to-play teams, Taoqi isn't the best character to use. The best free-to-play teams often involve Rover, Donjin, Sanhua, or Mortify. At best, Taoqi is a character you slot in until the limited 5-star character comes around for you to pull up on for your main DPS. Zhezha and Brant both buff skill damage, so pulling for either is buffing your account insanely, especially if you have Genji or Carlotta, which are Taoqi's best teams currently. With this in mind, I have a couple of proposals to help make her not completely useless and incentivize different playstyles that interact with the mechanics while sticking entirely within her lore. Taoqi should be able to deal damage to enemy vibration bars with her strategic parry and stop enemy combos like a normal parry does. I don't think it should do as much as a normal parry, however. Let me explain though. I think that frame perfect timing like with her skill or instantly timing her Rock City defense should do as much as a parry. But while Rocksteady defense continues on the field for 3 seconds, I think the damage dealt to the vibration bar should fall off. This vibration bar damage should only apply to physical attacks. This falls in line with her forte and in being a natural resonator. I don't think she needs to heal her team, but an alternative solution is having her entire kit scale off of defense, including her basic attack chain, and also for her skill and ultimate to be considered basic attack damage as well. Taoqi definitely does need a buff, as the more resonators released who buff skill damage keep pushing her down the tier list. I don't think, however, that she needs something massive. A small tweak that lets her interact with the vibration bars of enemies more fits with her lore and in being a better strategist than Jian. The insane disconnect between her kit and lore is what really drove me to make this video in the first place. The underappreciated savior of Zhenzhou. However, considering all of her friends are alive, I guess she's not allowed to be powerful. Being powerful is reserved for characters with dead parents. Unless you're Lingyang or Baizha, in which case sucks to be you. Imagine your entire species dies or all of your friends die and you turn out to be Lingyang. Perhaps I should thank Kuro for making Taoqi not like either of them. However, what do you all think? Do you think Taoqi needs a buff or a rework of some kind? Do you think that her position in the game is fine? Let me know down below, and in the meantime, I'm gonna go wrap myself up in some blankets like Taoqi does and get some sleep. I'll see you all in the next video.